Boy, oh boy, oh boy, we're about to have a fun time discussing the 5 units that you probably will not see a mile coming that's gonna be good for PvP. Let's get started. By the way guys, this video is sponsored by Anime Omniverse. They are an up-and-coming new tower defense game on Roblox that is pretty insane. It is genuinely one of the most unique tower defense games I have ever seen in a while. And if you want to see their progress and be an OG, then don't forget to follow their Discord in the pinned comment down below to also see some of the most unique sneaks I've ever seen in a tower defense game in a very long time. Okay, so the units are not going to be what you expect. It's not gonna be number 1 Aizen, number 2 Yuhaba, number 3 Gogeta. It's definitely not gonna be that. So stay until the very end. Okay, so I'm gonna try and go over these very quickly. And at the number 5 spot, it's going to be Fubuki or Lucy. Now, the reason why Lucy is going to be very powerful in this PvP is because of his passive called Nullify. Inflicting Nullify for 10 seconds on enemies, this unit's attack Nullify removes all the resistances, beneficial modifiers, and any internal mechanics from enemies. So Nullify, as you guys can see right here, disables all damage reduction and disables enemy specific mechanics. Does not include mutators, which there are a ton of in PvP. I'm telling you, there's a ton of damage reduction modifiers in PvP, and before you guys say I'm lying, I've tested PvP out more than 3 times, or actually just 3 times, once in update 6 and another one before this video was made. There's a ton of damage reduction or modifiers in PvP that can counter your units if you don't have someone like Lucy. Now, if you don't have Lucy, you can bring someone like Fubuki. Now, why is Fubuki good, you might ask? Because there's, again, modifiers such as speed in PvP, which players can absolutely spam against you, and you're gonna need someone who has crowd control like Fubuki. But not only that, Fubuki also has a passive that will allow her to clean or cleanse enemies of debuffs, right? Or debuff afflicted to them. And one such annoying debuff that you can encounter in PvP is something called Energy Drain. So as you guys can see right here, I have someone like Yomo who actually has this Energy Drain passive or Energy Drain debuff. And as you guys can see right here, Aizen is essentially losing his damage every time he attacks Yomo, eventually dropping close to pretty much 0 damage, or 0 damage essentially. And as you guys can see right here, Fubuki is also at 0 damage, and Lucy is, okay, not really at 0 damage, but I think it's because she is a spark unit, which is one of the only units that can counter this. Is going to be Virgil, and I am going to show you right now why. Alright, so we're going to be spawning in the same enemy, Virgil, with Monarch, and look at how fast this guy's HP is being depleted. And again, this is Virgil not losing any of his damage. Why? Because Virgil is a spark unit, which essentially means he is immune to mind control. Now, there's a lot of units that are spark units that are immune to mind control, but why Virgil? It just so happens that Virgil, especially with Monarch, has the highest DPS in the game, even beating Aizen, right? Even beating Aizen. But the real main thing here is the fact that he cannot lose his damage because of damage reduction, you know, with Energy Drain. So super useful right there. The third unit is going to be Sid. Now, the reason why Sid is going to be the third unit is, again, mainly going to be because of a few things. Number 1, this element right here, which is unknown, which essentially means that he is going to be immune to someone with mind control again. So I'm going to be spawning in the same enemy, remove his overshield and sturdy because his DPS is not as high as Virgil's, and I'm going to be spawning it in right now. Now, he has really decent DPS as well, and pretty good against bosses too. And take a look at this, not losing any of his DPS against this guy right here. If I play somebody down like Goku, I'm going to be losing my DPS like crazy. So look at that. My DPS has already dropped down. His DPS is still the same. And another thing apart from this is the addition of the Sid buff, right? The Sid nuke buff, which is absolutely crazy. The Sid nuke buff is insanely powerful. And also, take a look at this. Sid is a full AoE unit. I'm not sure why Sid's not losing damage from Yomo. I think it's because his other guy, Smith John, is an unknown element. So I think he technically has that as well, because he wasn't losing any damage from Energy Drain Yomo. Now, the second unit is going to be Roku right here. Now, you're saying Roku is going to be the second really good unit. Why is he in here? Now, the reason for this is actually going to be very simple. Yes, he can be beaten by things like Yomo with the mind control. However, there is a pretty interesting in-game mechanic that I think not a lot of people are aware of. And this mechanic right here is every time you switch, right, even if you get debuffs like this, if you switch like so, that debuff will actually reset. So as you guys can see right here, because I switched, my debuff actually resetted. Like, yes, I will still be taking an absurd amount of damage because he is not really an unknown unit, so energy drain is an easy counter. But every time I switch, I'll be able to reset my damage, as you guys can see right here. Now, another thing, apart from the ability to obviously reset mind control, or sorry, reset energy drain, as you guys are seeing right now, he also has crowd control, which again is super important in PvP. Crowd control is going to be very critical in PvP, and he is undoubtedly one of the better units when it comes to crowd control because he has both stun and freeze, and he has both stun, which I think I'll be able to show you right now. So Help Me Kakarot should be able to stun, yeah, as you guys can see right there, he stunned every unit or every enemy in his range. Now, the number one unit is the unit that I'm going to be placing down right here, and it's going to be Sanjin Wu Vanguard. Now, in my opinion, Sanjin Wu Vanguard is really good. There's probably going to be other units that are better than Sanjin Wu Vanguard. Again, at the end of the day, this list right here is just my own personal opinion. But he is an unknown unit, which essentially makes him immune to energy drain, stuns, immune to a lot of other things. He's also pretty cheap to place, only 1,700. Apart from that, he has 3 nukes that he can use, Duo, Sanjin Wu, and Igris. He can summon a bunch of summons, as you guys can see right here. He's summoning Beru, he's summoning Steel, and also pretty high damage that he has right here. Now, in my opinion, units like Virgil could potentially have more uses than him. Units like Goku might have more uses than him. Units like Sid might have more uses than him. Units like Lucy might have more uses than him. But I think he's still a pretty approachable unit to bring in PvP, and it's a pretty safe bet unit to bring in PvP, which is why I put him in top 1. Now, before I end this video, because I think there's going to be a lot of people commenting not understanding what's going on, PvP is a pretty interesting game mode, and it's not going to be playing exactly like how story mode plays or how challenges play. It's going to be a completely different game, like almost literally a completely different game. Another thing that I think is super important to mention is that in PvP, your units are not the only things that matter. And I genuinely think that if you're going to be approaching PvP with the mentality that you can bring one specific meta team, that you're not gonna really get very far, because there's multiple ways to counter different loadouts. And I personally got this experience when I fought against the creator of PvP when I tested it out. Like, I first used a different team, he countered me, and then I used a counter to his counter to my first team, and then he used a completely different strategy to beat me the second time, and then used a completely different strategy again to beat me the third time. And it's really interesting how PvP plays, but there's multiple counters to multiple different units, so I think I'll make a video when PvP releases. This video at the end of the day is only made so that people know what to collect and what to bring and maybe what to farm for, so that they're not gonna get blindsided by PvP, especially since there's a tournament releasing that's literally going to be giving people an opportunity of a lifetime. Now, that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like and sub, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.